At every possible turn, this White House is turning its back on you and me, Americans. At every dark corner, on every street, Americans are afraid to go out for a walk. In every store and in every mall in this country, even in their own homes, Americans do not feel safe in their own country anymore. So how did we get here? A quick refresher.
Not only do we need to defund, but we need to dismantle and start anew. Allows us to really reimagine what public safety should look like in our community.
It means a dramatic reduction in the number of police in our poor communities, and particularly our poor Black and brown communities.
I'm asking you to ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice to make sure that overfunded police departments are defunded?
Can you believe that? Ms. AOC asking what you are willing to sacrifice to fund your own police. This is a new low even for the squad. This rhetoric, this left-wing movement, if you want to know the source, the true dark underbelly of this crime wave sweeping America, it's the likes of AOC and her progressive squadsters. They're the ones to blame. In Mayor Lori Lightfoot's Chicago, my hometown, breaks my heart to say this, 41 people were shot, 7 people killed just this last weekend. And since January 1st, there have been more than 160 homicides in the city of Chicago, a blue-run city, and a city that continues to have no plan to fix it. And yet, the Democrat Party is asking you what you're willing to sacrifice to fund your police departments. In simple terms, how much more of your own safety are you willing to sacrifice so that they can support a completely false narrative and the American people are paying the ultimate price for their little social experiment? Folks, it's so bad in Chicago that unarmed volunteer martial artists and security guards are patrolling the subway system just to create some sense of security. But we must remember why it's come to this. It's because of the Democrats' weak on crime policies. Their policies are making Americans desperate for any semblance of safety. But it's not just violent crime. California detectives have seized over 90 pounds of fentanyl. That's a street value of $4.2 million. It's a quantity enough to kill millions of Americans. Enough fentanyl to fully wipe out the city of New York or Los Angeles, every man, woman, and child. And yet the Democrats are asking you for more sacrifice. An entirely new low level of tone deaf. The Dems, particularly the hard progressive left, they have an incredible talent of stooping to do new lows when you thought it couldn't get any lower. Just last Friday, we covered a very unsettling story and trend, how even puppies aren't safe in Biden's America. People being held at gunpoint, robbed of their pets. And folks, it's much worse than that. Even grandma isn't safe. Our society has corroded so much that low-life thugs are no longer targeting puppies, but the most precious, beloved, the most insecure, the most at risk of our society, our elderly. In Texas, this grandmother was viciously attacked during a carjacking. Police later finding the car totaled with the suspect dead inside, but that woman left with bruises and a haunting memory. Listen to this carefully.
I can see that man in detail. I have a picture in my mind of him that's just, it's there, and it doesn't go away. There's a lot of people that would say, what goes around comes around, karma. I did not think that. The only thing, I got really sad because he had died.
Anyone's grandma right there. Listen to that. She's devastated, talking about her own attackers losing their lives. But in America, where criminals now run around worry-free, never having to worry about punishment in Biden's America, predators targeting sweet, innocent, and easy victims like grandma. And the left still wants you to defund your police. In California, this thug walked into a family's home and within minutes walked out with a 3-month-old baby while grandma was taking groceries out of the car. Police still desperately searching for the baby. Puppies, grandmothers, children. No one is safe in Biden's America. Nothing is sacred to these thugs. And while the worst of society, the lowest of the low, target the very things we value the most in life, what is Joe Biden doing to clamp down on the violence and crime? Nothing. In fact, he's doing the exact opposite. Joe Biden just today issued 3 pardons and 75 prison sentence commutations in his first grants of clemency since taking office. And to further highlight the priorities of pro-criminal activists in the federal government, a federal judge in Illinois has ruled that a man who has been incarcerated for 28 years will now be provided a, quote, qualified surgeon for gender reassignment surgery. And do you know what Christina Nicole Iglesias is in jail for? She was convicted for threatening to use a weapon of mass destruction. Yep, you heard that right. This is the government's priority, and it's pro-criminal agenda that's pushing society into a downward spiral. Here's FBI Director Christopher Wray on crime.
We're seeing more and more juveniles committing violent crime, and that's certainly an issue. We're seeing a certain amount of gun trafficking, interstate gun trafficking. That's part of it. And we're seeing an alarming frequency of some of the worst getting back out on the streets.
It's activist liberal billionaires like George Soros who will fund pro-criminal Democrats from top down, from Biden to district attorneys like Gascon in Los Angeles. And they've created an environment that's dangerous for everyone, even cops.
Violence against law enforcement in this country is one of the biggest phenomenons that I think doesn't get enough attention. Last year, officers were being killed at a rate of almost 1 every 5 days.
And the mainstream media complex is complicit. The professional race baiters and pretend civil rights activists have pitted Americans against Americans. The left gave credibility to the fringe anti-cop rhetoric. This is what happens when radical professors teach young, impressionable minds that cops are the problem and the criminals, well, they're just misunderstood. This is where we are in America right now. Race relations are an all-time low and crime at an all-time high. We're living in the greatest country in the world, yet thugs are threatening men and women in law enforcement, ambushing them, assassinating them simply for wearing a badge. So when anyone wonders why grandma isn't safe, don't forget, it was the rising stars of the Democrat Party that have been pushing this nonsense all along.
We need to reallocate resources away.
And will this involve cuts? Yes, of course, to every department, including the police department.
And so when we dismantle it, we get rid of that cancer.
When we said defund the police, the world woke up.
I really love that Black Lives Matters and other protesters have put this front and center.
Beto. Nothing but lies from the left. Biden, Harris, the squad, any Democrat for that matter, they lie through their teeth claiming to care about crime, but they don't. Their agenda is more important to them. You heard it for yourself. They care more about appeasing a loud minority, radical groups like Black Lives Matter. The same Black Lives Matter organizations that's fighting oppression while decorating and lounging at a $6 million pad, a mansion in Los Angeles. The same organization whose leaders drink champagne while everyday Americans live in fear on the streets while they push to fund your police. How much more are you willing to sacrifice? The arrogance and the irony is so rich, it's unbelievable. The left has emboldened criminals, and now thugs are attacking grandmas, stealing babies, and holding couples at gunpoint to steal puppies. This is Biden's America, folks, and this is the modern-day Democrat Party.